My name is Carrie, and I'm making this video to answer a few questions about my grandmother. My grandmother was Elizabeth Noon Christie, and she died in her mid 60s when I was 14 years old. Like many grandmas of our generation, I think, she's basically, excuse me, was born in, I want to say, the 20s, the late 20s, and had experience living through hard times. And like at the time that I knew my grandmother, she was just this upper middle class Catholic. My grandpa had died when I was quite young, so she was a widow. I remember that my grandmother kept roses in the house. In fact, she had a flower service, and the times that I spent visiting with my grandmother were some of my favorite, best times as a child. I had a younger sister, and it was a chance to be away from her. Things were a little chaotic growing up, and my mom was a great, creative, fun mom, and also like dealt with a lot of stuff. And my grandma, in terms of, I guess, similarities between us, she loved words and stories, and I think also would have been a writer if she had felt that it was possible for her to do so. And we both love beautiful things. I've come into my love of classical music. I remember my grandma was always listening to classical music when I would come over, and I thought it was really boring when I was a kid. There were no words, but I appreciate it now, and I appreciate the way that I would walk into her foyer and there would be a bowl of roses almost every time. The gift of wisdom from my grandmother is a little tougher. I was wondering about that myself, and unfortunately I feel like by the time that my grandmother died, we were only just starting to get to know each other as people. She had this very, I don't know what the word is. She drank alone. But she did it in such a way as to remain elegant. And I think that in some ways the wisdom that my grandmother imparted on me was that we all have, ways in which we're just kind of getting through our days. And but that you can still find beauty in routine. And she surrounded herself with the things that she loved, and she had a very steady routine that kind of held her together. And an anecdote about my grandmother, she loved her some Richard Dawson. So whenever I would spend the night, we would we had the same exact ritual every time. We would eat Stouffer's tuna noodle casserole, and we would watch The Price is Right, and Richard Dawson would come down and he would kiss the old ladies, and my grandmother would giggle. And just that was like my introduction to the world of that old ladies have crushes too. So yeah, I liked my grandma's crush on Richard Dawson, and I was the last person she spoke to. She died at home, and I remember that conversation pretty well because she told me not to be sad, because she was not sad, and that she loved me and was proud of me, and it was a weird lucid moment. She had sort of been out of it for a while, and it turns out was out of it again for a while after that, but I just managed to wake up in the middle of the night when she happened to be awake and have a great conversation with her. So I'm always grateful about that, and thanks for asking about my grandma so that I could spend some time thinking about her this morning. I'm looking forward to seeing Cyla's gift.